What's up, YouTube? Figure I'd come through and give you an update on what the truck's looking like now, what kind of progress I've made, and what kind of work I have to do still. So in previous videos I mentioned that I plan to eventually go with 6 salt 8s, and I did. So far, a buddy of mine, Jared, built me this nice handprack here and welded it into the actual truck itself. It's kind of like a ladder, and it's mounted down here on the bottom into the wood with a lag bolt or two. So you can't really see it, but I centered my battery bank in the middle of the box, and I secured it with a 2x4 along with some screws around the perimeter of the actual bank itself. On top of that, I have all my main runs now coming from the side over here and then going up to the top into the battery. I also went ahead and mounted my balancers. In the past I never ran a balancer. I would just every so often take some alligator clips and just hook it to my battery and just let it balance for a couple hours while I charge the battery bank after a big show. But I usually run this truck at least, I don't know, once a week. So I just leave the balancers running all the time now. I might drop a 10th after a week, if that. It's a huge bank, so I still got to get some matching RCAs just to clean that up and have everything matching. I've got the majority of the amps themselves wired up as far as powers and grounds and RCAs. I do still have to tune the amps, and I have to, once I tune them, obviously I'll have to plug in all the all the speaker wires for my subs. However, I started tuning the amps last night and I ran into a little bit of a problem. Actually, it's a big problem that's stopping my progress. I can't tune the amps any further because my head unit decided that it no longer wants to produce the pre-out voltage that I need in order to be able to tune my amps. What I mean by that is, back here on my amps, the highest I was able to turn my amps up to was like 59 volts VAC, sorry. I need them to get up to like 100 to 110-ish per sub, per amp. So what I did was I pulled the RCAs, the main RCAs go into the cock box. I tested the leads to see what kind of voltage they were seeing, and they weren't really seeing very much voltage at all. So then I traced it all the way to the base knob, did the same there, same situation. So then I traced it to the back of the head unit, and guess what? I'm not getting anything really out of the back of the head unit that I should be getting. And that's with my subwoofer level all the way turned up to 10, which is the highest it'll go. In the past, I never had to turn that up at all to get the pre-out that I needed. So I pulled the head unit, did some tests and some tricks on the head unit itself using a DD1 to see if I was getting any type of signal, and I wasn't. So I've dumbed it down to the head unit has decided to take a shit on me. I kind of knew that was eventually going to happen. It's doubled in inside of a vehicle that's in the dash of a vehicle that's doing 160s below 30 hertz. They're not going to last. So what I'm actually going to do is I pulled the head unit. It's kind of a nightmare right now, but I'll show you. I pulled the head unit. I'm going to replace it with a single DIN, either Kenwood or Pioneer, and I'm also going to have it in a box with a long lead on it, so where I can stand outside the vehicle and play it. Also so I can hold it in my hands while I'm demoing and it's not in the dash just jumping all over the place. Another update. Don't know if you can see on the video, but I painted the inside the box. So I got rid of the red. I never was a fan of it. I thought it was pretty ugly, and switched it to solid black. So now we're running the black with the gray two-tone. I do still have to get a fine paintbrush and go around the perimeter of the sub surround and just touch up that red that you see. But I kind of use that as my guide as to where the subs need to be mounted to be centered. I don't even know if you can see it on the video, the little bit of red that's there. But like I said, still quite a bit of work to do. I'm not sure if I shared it in the last video or not, but another bit of progress I made was I now have the airbags. I also have the timber and bump stops in the rear. I don't have these airbags inflated very much. They're only inflated up to, I believe, 20 psi is what I set them at. And with them at 20 psi, it does lift it ever so slightly up, but the truck is still sagging so much that it's sitting on the bump stops all the time. So it's almost as if you're in a vehicle that's towing a constant load, essentially. It fixed the roll that the truck had on the highway, which was terrifying, but now I have a bit of a bounce when I hit bumps. So I'm going to add probably a good 8 to 10 psi to these bags. I think they cap out at 35 pounds. I'm probably going to bump them up to like 28 and see how much more that lifts the truck. And then I'm also going to replace my blown ass shocks with some newer shocks. Hopefully that'll help a bit. But while I'm waiting on the new head unit to come in, I'm going to actually be focusing on this. I had a guy hit me up from Texas that was interested in buying it. I told him I couldn't sell it to him until I get it running the way it needs to be, so I just got to throw the axles back on, pull the header back up, hook it all up. I'm going to purge this ethanol that's in the tank now because it's been sitting in here for a year and a half, and put some fresh ethanol in it, take it out, beat on it for a little bit, make sure everything's running right, wash it really good, detail it, and then it'll likely be sold if the dude comes through. He asked me what I wanted. I told him what I wanted. He came about $2,000 shorter than what I asked for. I told him absolutely not. This thing can just sit and collect dust for all I care, just like it's done. And then he said, okay, I'd be willing to give you what you're asking. So as long as he's willing to make that drive, this thing will be sold in the next 2 months or so, maybe sooner. But for now, that's all I have. As soon as I have this up and playing, I'll be posting some demo videos. Look forward to everyone getting a chance to see what it do, because like always, it be what it does. Appreciate y'all watching. Give me a like, comment, subscribe, share the video. I'm trying to get up to 100 subscribers. I know once I start posting more frequently that'll probably happen, but for now, this is just the way it has to be until I can get this thing up and playing.